Guys, I'm excited to share a project with you that I'm working on for this channel, and especially if you're looking for stuff that's really in depth, I think this is going to be right up your alley. But first I want to provide some backstory. To give you a background, I started riding trials almost 20 months ago, back in Thanksgiving of 2020 is when I got my first gas. And so in order to get better, I started watching YouTube like I'm sure many of you guys do. I was all into Pat Smodgy's videos and Ryan Young and Jan Peters, and gosh, there's so many good YouTubers making awesome content, and that's how I was learning primarily. Didn't have many friends to ride with, and so I was just absorbing as much as I could. I studied their movements and what they were doing and tried to replicate it, but it was hard. It was frustrating. I mean, I didn't know what order to try and learn things in, as many of you guys probably have the same experiences. It's a lot more difficult than just rev up the bike, pop the clutch, and jump up there. I was wondering, what drills can I do to improve? It wasn't until I started riding with better riders like Chuck and Milt and Gary that I really started to improve, getting that feedback in the moment and asking them, oh, how did you get up that? What gear were you in? That's when things started to click. I went to a Ryan Young weekend, and man, did I learn a lot. He is such a good teacher. I would highly recommend that any of you guys who can get to one of his schools, and he travels all around the United States, go check him out for sure. And then I found an online coach, Neil Price, who had a Facebook group that he was actually turning into an app, an online coaching trials app. Man, it has been awesome to learn from the structured approach that he has. And then I got to go to the Trials Training Center this spring. The Trials Training Days was an absolute blast, learning from pros and going to these different sessions and growing in my skills. There is nothing like being with other riders. And so as I look back on the last year and a half and all the things I've learned, I think I honestly could have progressed a lot faster if I'd known what order to do things in. I was out here in the yard and just going after it, watching a YouTube video and then trying those things, but I didn't really have a continuity in between. There wasn't a, once you learn this, then you can learn that type of approach. So as my skills grew, I started to make videos like how I learned how to front wheel hop. And I tried to be really honest about the failures I had and the struggles and the ways that I could break down that skill into smaller drills and the things you had to learn before you can move on to the next. And I think you guys found a lot of value in that. So I'm gonna throw that one in the description down below. And it's those type of things that when we break it down and we really separate out the different skills and practice and drill them, I think that's the value that I'm offering YouTube. You know, when I think through these last months of going to all these pro classes and learning and watching and studying Facebook, I'm trying to take 20 hours worth of absorption of content and practice and drills and kind of narrow that into 5 minutes, hopefully, the compression of time to save you guys and add value. I think my ability to break that down, my buddy Rod said, Tom, you know, you're not that good of a rider. And it's true. I'm not that great of a rider, but what I can do, hopefully, is present well. I can hopefully break things down into drills that are offering value to you guys. And so I just want to continue that, but I want to take it to the next level. And so here's the ask. I'm going to put together a members only group, and I'm asking you to join. This would be bonus material that's coming to you in the form of this trials curriculum to work through the order of this. I've got number sequence and I reserve the right to kind of change the order, but I want to release this to a smaller group and get some feedback and really put some content out there that's hopefully going to shape the way that someone can learn and approach this sport. So I've got about 35 to 40 topics that I plan to make videos and break it down with drills and really pull it apart into all the different ways that you can grow to get better, to hopefully put it back together and do this skill. And I'm even thinking about putting like a, here's how you know if you've done it well enough to move on to the next thing, like a validation or a test, so to speak. And this is absolutely not intended to be a replacement for getting great feedback from live instructors and going to a Ryan Young weekend or trials training days. You need to go do those things. But if you're working at home to try and get better and maybe you don't have as many riding buddies, hopefully this can supplement and really add value in your journey. So be sure to stay tuned because this is all starting in August.